Okay, again?
Yeah, Willie, the president was riding pretty high in the spring. He was getting up to 42, 43, 44%. Immediately he did two things. Almost, there were acts of self-sabotage. One of them was a child separation policy, which we now are finding from the Woodward book. Everybody inside the White House was freaked out about, and he was warned by Paul Ryan and warned by the majority leader Mitch McConnell. You're going down. This policy is going to take you down. And then the second thing, he had the disastrous press conference at Helsinki that only his most loyal hacks dared to defend.
And then
lest they look like, Putin enablers.
Yeah, there were several moments, and I would even add John McCain's funeral to that were sort of trans-political. In other words, they defied, a partisanship, which is separating parents and children. And the Helsinki moment where on the world stage he was given an opportunity to stick up on a gut level, stick up for your country against somebody who had subverted our election and our democracy. He didn't do it. And then last weekend and last week during the celebration of John McCain's wife, when he looked small and petty and wouldn't join in that celebration. Of course, he wasn't invited to the funeral itself, but wouldn't even say kind words about John McCain and the life he's had. I also think the cloud, if you look inside that Washington Post ABC poll of the Mueller investigation, when a majority of Americans, 6 in 10, believe Mueller is doing the right thing investigating, he should be allowed to go about his business. A majority, 6 in 10, don't believe Paul Manafort should be pardoned in any way. People are not buying his subversion of the FBI, the subversion of Mueller, and even his subversion of the media.
Mike, if you look at those numbers, there's a lot of lazy punditry going around. Of course, I've won that award for the past 11 years, Lazy Pundit of the Year.
No, you haven't.
So I know of what I speak. But there's a ton of lazy punditry going around that drives me crazy. One is Rudy Giuliani, crazy or crazy like a fox? And I'm still hearing people say, well, the Giuliani stuff is working because Robert Mueller's numbers are going. No, they are not. You look at the polls, you look at the Washington Post, ABC News poll. Americans believe Robert Mueller. Americans don't believe Donald Trump. Americans believe Robert Mueller should continue his investigation. Americans believe Donald Trump's attempts to stop that investigation are wrong-headed and dangerous. Americans say, only 18% of Americans say Paul Manafort should be pardoned. The overwhelming majority of Americans, I think it's in the high 60s, say he should not. Rudy Giuliani has lost. He's not only lost his reputation, he's lost the argument before the American people. Donald Trump has once again chewed up and spit out somebody who previously had a good reputation. And the big loser in the end is Donald Trump.
Well, I would submit that part of that lazy punditry obviously includes Rudy Giuliani and our constant chatter about him. I think it also includes the constant reference to Donald Trump's base, which I feel personally is much smaller than people talk about in this country. But if you look at those poll numbers, I don't know, maybe John Meacham can help me out here, but I think what happens when you have an administration involved in literally kidnapping children at the border, I think many Americans pause, they pay attention, and they think to themselves, is that who we really are as a country? And that helps, I think, diminishes poll numbers. I don't know about you, Meacham, but I think people think about these things much more than we give people credit for.
I agree, and I think that there's a seep effect. I think we all react to this in a Tennessee Williams way, like a cat on a hot tin roof, because we follow it so closely. But for a lot of people, the cumulative effect of public actions actually take a while to shape their personal opinions, and that's totally understandable. But I don't think there's any doubt that when we look back at this, the child separation policy, the heading into the past couple of weeks where you had the rule of law, you had the Cohen and Manafort news, you had the CFO beginning to cooperate, you had Senator McCain, which was kind of this enormous reminder of who he would prefer to be, even if we're not always that. And then you have both the Woodward book and the op-ed, which provide this real-time intel on how chaotic things are inside. And the wise guy thing to say this morning is, well, we always knew that. Well, okay, fine, but politics is not a clinical business. It takes time for these moments to congeal. And I don't know if this is one, but it certainly feels that way as we head into a clear referendum in the midterm, and then whatever Director Mueller ends up with.
Yeah. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.